we're going to talk about social engineering. Lyndon Johnson brought in the welfare states back in 1964. He pushed through 200 new laws that included the start of Medicare, Medicaid, direct federal aid to public schools, bilingual education, Head Start, food stamps, vocational education through Job Corps, urban renewal projects, massive spending for the arts and humanities, an enormous increase in immigration, Section 8 public housing, federal aid to college kids, and the government media in the form of the PBS and NPR. Since then, they have spent over $22 trillion, and the price is still going up, and they haven't solved a thing. But you're throwing money down the drain. The last 50 years, all you see is your inner center cities turn to crime, and their drugs just in ruins anymore. You witness the destruction of the family. Something else that thing. He started the welfare program in the early 60s. Not only did he create 5 to 6 generations of entitlement with his great welfare system, he also created a generation of people who believe that they are victims of a way of life in which they chose and continue to choose that way to live. It goes on and on. Now, President Johnson was also saying that, supposedly, I'll have those N guys voting Democrat for the next 200 years. Why? Because they seek to enslave the lower class by providing government programs that make them increasingly dependent upon the government. They are indebted to that party then, and they vote for them. Now the real thing behind this is it's not about the political parties or whatever. It's about the system of government and what their true mission is. It's enslavement. It no longer just applies to African Americans. If you're not part of the elite, you're at a risk for being part of the plantation. It's not about the color of your skin, racism. It's about a new world order, a state of control, and the concept that patriotism is no longer a feeling of pride for your country, but a feeling of loyalty to a government that provides for you. You got to remember, always be aware. Make sure that the hand that's helping you up is not the same hand that's holding you down. Now in the 70s, a lot of stuff was going on with the welfare. If you were married and you lived around a bunch of women who were single, have kids, they're on welfare, and they got new boyfriends in all the time. They got welfare money, they got food stamps, they got free Medicare, Medicaid. They also paid for your divorce. Boy, that was a big incentive for all these women who, oh, I got married too young, I never really got to live. And that was the thing going on back in the 70s. And it just continued. Because then, Uncle Sugar was a provider. They no longer had to have a man in the house. They no longer had to have a family unit. Not when Uncle Sugar was supplying the money. They could live good and still live the life they missed out on when they were 18 to 25. Yeah. Well, this social program goes on. And they start this stuff about, oh, the poor little children. Remember the Clintons. Then you get into a point that, oh, these poor, battered women. Oh, there's nothing really going on. It's the same stuff that's been going on since history began. But now the government thinks that they are the social, what would you call this? I think it's their social duty to help out with domestic problems, and they can't even balance the budget. They're sticking their nose into things they don't belong. So anyway, then they got onto this battered women thing, and oh yeah. Oh, we'll give you more money, and we'll help you out of this predicament. It's a predicament they wanted to get out of. They start a problem in the house to get somebody pissed off. They call the cops. Cops come out, arrest the guy, never the woman, and the guy goes to jail. He gets out, and oh, well, you're a domestic violence offender. Woo. and he hadn't even touched her. You know, where's the proof? Where's the bruises? Where's all this other stuff? Nah, they're just using the women and the kids as a platform to launch their agenda. But anyway, this thing goes on and on. Then you get into the thing about we got to help these poor battered women, so they come up with this domestic violence thing, and that way these people from 1996 all the way back to Adam and Eve were also under this new law they passed. Well, you can't pass a law after the occurrence of an act, and put them in that same kind of a thing after they've already gotten out of it. Now, even Judge Anthony Scalia, he says felons may possess guns unless the state explicitly prohibits it at that time. I guess, like back in 1944, he wasn't so. He could have shotguns, rifles, handguns, because they didn't write a thing that enabled him to not have them. So, yeah. But anyway, on the social engineering thing. Now, if you remember, Joe Biden said we need unrelenting immigration. Well, you look at here. Now, why would they need it? It's a social thing. You bring more people in, you get more votes. Now, they've passed 7 amnesties since 1986. You look here, 86, 94, 97, 97, 98, 2000, 2000. Let that sink in. It's social engineering. It goes on unless you put a stop to it. But this thing about the welfare, I'm telling you, it's going to have to come to a head. You can't be under somebody's thumb your whole life. You're not free with the government supporting you. Thanks for watching.